all I think about is college football. What does that mean for this episode? Welcome to this special episode of the predictions. I mentioned in these videos started that today I will make the starting Friday or Saturday. I will be doing these college football predictions. Who will win the ACC? Who I think will get through? What are your opinions? And I will have your predictions down in the comment section below. But on this episode, first episode of the college football predictions, and we'll also do the NFL predictions once we get to August. It is time for the first episode. Welcome to college football predictions. Your host, Julian Rico. That's me. Our first episode starts in the ACC, so let's talk about it. So last season, Florida State finished the season undefeated. Of course, they had some multiple injuries on their offense. Unfortunately, did not make it through the college football playoffs. Clemson has a lot of questions. We're going to get to talk about them, and we could be surprises in there. So let's talk about it. So this year is 17 teams, of course, no conference. This will be top two teams will go to the ACC championship game in Bank of America Stadium with the new teams, SMU Muskets, who won the American Athletic Conference title, and then two Pac-12 teams, Stanford Cardinal and the Cal Golden Bears. So welcome to the welcome to the ACC for SMU, Cal, and Stanford. Tough competition, but we're wishing you the best of luck. But let's start, and we're gonna go from bottom to first, and who will win the ACC at number 17. I didn't want to put this on my list, but the Stanford Cardinals, 2-10, will finish the season 2-10 and 0-8 in the conference. The Cardinals coming in, they've been terrible in the Pac-12. I get it. They've been that team. A lot of people talk about the Cardinal worst team in the Pac-12. I get it, but as a new start in the ACC, I don't know. In the ACC is going to be tough for them. There's going to be questions. I think everybody wants to look at the Cardinals' success. Can they get to a bowl game? Can they really show they can really compete against these ACC teams? I don't know. I think this team is not going to be ready for this ACC. But overall, I have them 2-10, and I think the reason why is they'll win these easy two games, and then when they go up against their conference, things are not going to go well for them, and it's not going to be easy for them. But I'm so sorry, Stanford. You're going to finish 2-10. But 0-8 in the conference. At number 16, Virginia, 30-19, and in the conference, 1-7. Here is why Virginia, in my last place, could come down to Virginia or Stanford. But I think Virginia has to hang on this one. But of course, their coach is good, but I think there's going to be concerns on the offense. Defensively, of course. Now, last season, they did finish the season 3-9. I think they're going to repeat that again. I just think, can you go up against the big conference teams? Now, I do know they could find ways to win. I think their best scenario is if they can beat Boston College. I think Boston College with a new head coach, and we'll get to them. I think that will be an easy way to win it. I think their best scenario is 4-8. For them. For the Cardinals, the best scenario for them, if they can beat at least one or two in the ACC, I think they could be a 3-9 team, just to say, okay, it's just the best scenario. Number 15, I want to put this in the list, and Wake Forest is in my list. 4-8, 1-7 in the conference. You cannot tell the demon Deacons. I'm sorry. Wake Forest is there's still a lot of questions on Wake Forest. Again, we're all questions on these bottom teams because they're going to be in the conference. But again, are you guys ready for these three teams like Florida State, Miami, which we'll get to them in later. Why we're talking about Miami, Clemson, NC State, North Carolina. I don't know. I think Wake Forest is a little question team. We're going to have a lot of questions on them. But 15th place for them. The best scenario is if you can at least try to win against UNC, maybe Duke, if they have them in the schedule. I think it will be a 5-7 team. Not improvement, but try to show your spirit. But Wake Forest at 15. Number 14, I have the Boston College Eagles. Now, Bill O'Brien is the new head coach of Boston. Of course, Jeff Hafley leaves Boston College to become the new defense coordinator for the Packers. I think Bill O'Brien is a big question mark because, of course, Bill O'Brien has been in that Bill Belichick tree. He's been learning from Belichick in New England as offensive coordinator. Took the head coaching job in Houston, and then going back and then going back in New England as the offensive coordinator. That was in the NFL. But in college, he was the offensive coordinator for Alabama. And the last time we heard him as the head coach is Penn State. That was the last time we see him. But a lot has changed. I think they're going to finish 5-7, 3-5 in the conference. I think the Boston College Golden Eagles are going to want to be competitive this year. How about the Pittsburgh Panthers? I think they will finish 5-7. The record conference 2-6. There's a little concerns about them. So really concerns for this team. Pitt will finish 5-7, 2-6 in the conference. Duke. Let's talk about Duke. So Manny Diaz is the head coach of Duke. And the Blue Devils are going to get a new quarterback in Murphy, who was the transfer quarterback from Texas. Of course, Riley Leonard is in Notre Dame. Mike Elko's now in Texas A&M as the coach. I think there's a lot of people hearing 4-8. I think Duke is a 7-win team. I think Duke would probably win 7 games, but they're not going to be competitive. I think there's going to be concerns of, is Manny Diaz going to be that coach to lead the team to another bowl game? They had success with Mike Elko. I think they should have got him an extension with Duke to still maybe be the top 3 or top 4 to compete with maybe Clemson, in Florida State. But now you're talking about a guy, Manny Diaz, who's a former Miami Hurricanes head coach. And there's a lot of questions on Duke. And I think they're going to finish 7-5, but in the conference, I think 4-4 in the conference. The Cal Golden Bears, our second new team in the ACC, the Pac-12. I think they're going to be 7-5. 4-4 in the conference, which brings the question is, can they really show they're the best team in the ACC? I don't think so. I think they're going to be good, but we'll see how Cal does it. I think they'll be the better Pac-12 team than Stanford to go to the ACC. Syracuse. So Syracuse, they're going with Frank Brown as their new head coach. Coming from Georgia, the D-backs coach. Then they get Kyle McCord from Ohio State. I think this is a 7-5 win team. I think they're going to be that good. 3-5 in the conference. I'm mixing up with the who's the first to set the last place, but just hang on with me. I think Syracuse will be competitive, but I think there's questions on after Kyle McCord goes to the draft. Who you're going to get at quarterback. Frank Brown is going to be a good coach. I think he'll do successful in Syracuse. All right, let's get to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, I think 6-6, 4-4 on the conference. Really believe that the Yellow Jackets can do a great job. They can beat. I think they can beat UNC. I think they're going to be that good, that team to beat. But I don't think they're ready against Georgia. Again, they're not good against Georgia, but they could be good against UNC. They could be a team to keep an eye on. The Tar Heels. So the Tar Heels, questions on who's going to replace Drake Maye after he's gone to the draft. I think they're going to be a 7-5 team. I think this is going to be the questions with UNC. Can they really be competitive? But not sure about that. I think they're going to finish 7-5 on the season, but in the conference 4-4. Now let's get to SMU, the Mustangs. This is an interesting team. I think this team should have gone to the Big 12, which I think it would make sense for this team to go up against the Big House. But they don't. They go to the ACC. They want competition. They want to show they can really beat the best of the best. I think they're a 9-3 team. I think they're going to be competitive. But if you're going 9-3, can you really be the dark horse or the underdog team to be in that top 2, top 3 teams? But I think they'll finish 9-3, 5-3, 9-3 overall record, but in the conference 5-3. Virginia Tech 9-3. I think the same thing with SMU. They're going to be the dark horse of this team. They could probably beat Florida State or Clemson, and I think this is one of those teams to keep an eye on. 5-3 over, 9-3 overall, but 5-3 in the conference. Before we get to top 5, before we get to the last 5 teams, let's go to our sponsors. Today's sponsor is sponsored by College Football 25. If you know, the new game is coming out for the first time in a long time, long decade. The wait is over. EA College Football 25 is coming out this month, July 16. So get it ready, because we're getting this game back after a long decade. Last time they had this game was since NCAA 14. Been a long time, but as this fan right here, now getting to know college football, I would love to try this new game, College Football 25, which is interesting. They talked about, of course, Dynasty Mode, which they already talked about it, I believe, was this week. They are going to do a deep dive to the game. That will be on July 8th. So check that out at 11 a.m. on their channel. They talked about sight and sound, everything, really do. But also, you can get the pre-order. If you wanted the pre-order for the game, it would be a better time to do it for a pre-order. So don't miss it. EA College Football 25. It's in the game. All right, so with the sponsors out of the way, let's get to the last 5 teams. Louisville, the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to finish 9-3, 6-2 in the conference. A lot of questions on with that on their quarterback, but a lot of questions on if they're still going to be that competitive team. Let's keep going. NC State, the Wolfpack, 9-3 overall, but their conference 6-2. Clemson, a lot of questions on Cade Klubnik, I think, on their quarterback, Dabo Swinney. Can he get them back? I think it's a 9-3 team. 9-3 overall, but 6-2 in the conference. The Miami Hurricanes. Cam Ward is your new quarterback. Is this the year Miami shows up? 10-2 overall, 6-2. No, overall 10-2. Conference record 6-2. Which brings me to my one team. Florida State 10-2, 7-1 in the conference, 10-2 overall. I think they're going to have a tough opponent. I think Miami and Notre Dame or Clemson is going to be one of those top ones. It's going to be exciting. So my ACC championship, I think it's good. To me, I know it's Florida State. But who's the other team? It's probably going to come down to Miami, Clemson, or NC State. One of those 3. I think with the talent in Miami, I think they have the edge to get to that ACC championship game. I think Clemson is there, but if Clemson, let's say for example, if Clemson beats Florida State and Miami keeps winning, Clemson and Miami would be the ACC championship game. But for me, I think it's going to be Florida State versus Clemson. Sorry, Miami. They're going to fall short. I think Clemson is the team to watch. I think it's going to be Florida State, Clemson, and I think Florida State will win back-to-back ACC championship games. And there is your prediction. So the worst team, the worst record will go to Stanford. Underdogs for the season, I could see question marks. I could see Virginia, Wake Forest, Boston College, Pitt, Duke. There's a question on Manny Diaz. Underdogs, we could see Georgia Tech, UNC, SMU, Virginia Tech, Louisville. And my top 4 teams that could contend for the title, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, NC State. There's another team out there. I'm just kidding. Those are my top 4 teams. What about top 4? What about Syracuse and Cal? I think they're going to be the Cinderella teams to keep an eye on. That is my prediction for the ACC. Again, I will do this again on Fridays and Fridays or Saturdays. But the next episode will be the SEC, the Southern Eastern Conference. If you want me to do these predictions again, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.